Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Laurentian Valley Council Committee for April 6th. Welcome all councillors out and anybody listening in. Dean, we'll do a roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett.
Present.
Reeve Robinson.
Present.
Councillor Gauthier.
Present.
Councillor Hughley.
Present.
Councillor Blow.
Present.
Councillor Watt.
Present.
Councillor Wren.
Present.
All members present.
Thank you. Call to order. First and seconder. Alan and Jennifer.
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Gauthier, that Council Committee meeting of April 6, 2021 be called to order at 5:30 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Approval of the agenda. First and seconder. Chris and Keith.
Moved by Councillor Blow, second by Councillor Watt, that the agenda in the Council and Committee meeting of April 6, 2021 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Delegations or disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. Delegations, none. No planning meeting. Business. Katie.
Hello, good evening, everybody. So the first item I'd like to bring to your attention is that we have received an extension. So Stephanie, as part of our digital service squad, will be with us until June, which is really, really exciting. She's obviously had some challenges with the shutdowns and closures and getting into businesses. So having this prolonged extension is going to really make a big impact. No formal announcement is going out yet, just until we receive an update from FedDev regarding the funding and how all that's working, but I can share the news with you. So we're going to keep going with status quo. So really happy on that win. Another item to note and bring to your attention is that our go live for our new website is set for May 12th. And we are forging ahead with that date. So mark your calendars as we'll have a new website going live on that date. Service concierge wrapped up. So we finished 5 workshops with the town of Petawawa and the city of Pembroke, and we really had great response and feedback. Participation was a bit low, but all in all, the content was received really, really well. And those that did attend really found them valuable. We will be launching our scavenger hunt next week. So it will be an online COVID-friendly and safe scavenger hunt. And typically the scavenger hunt is run annually in March, but we pushed it with the shift of March break. Obviously with the shutdown, we're going to keep in mind to keep everything very safe and COVID friendly and giving something for people to do. And there's a few other items there for your information.
Thanks, Katie. Doing a great job. Any questions for Katie? Debbie?
Thank you, Steve. So, Katie, I'm just wondering, are we having any challenges with the making sure that our documents are accessible in accordance with the Ontario Accessibility Act?
Great question. So Lori and I are actually working on transferring all those documents over to be accessible. So with the new website, everything will be accessible. That's on the website. As for the documents themselves, Lori can speak better to this, but we did purchase a software called Access PDF and Access Word that will allow us to convert all the documents properly. This is a huge task, and so we will be tackling that along with our co-op student or summer student, that we're hiring in hopes to get everything up. So essentially our plan of action is to get the most needed items up and accessible first, and then keep working our way through them all because it is a huge job.
Thanks for that.
Anybody else? Question for Katie? Okay, thanks again, Katie.
Thanks.
We'll move on to subcommittees. Alan, Pembroke Airport.
So the only thing we have to report at the airport at this point is we're in the process of engaging with a few engineering firms to quote on designing our fuel system. So hopefully within the next week, we'll have those quotes in and be able to move forward with having that system designed so that we can go out to a tender or RFP, depending on how we move forward with it. But we need to do the design of it at first. So that's in the process as we speak, and hopefully that'll move forward quite quickly once we hire that whichever engineering firm gets the lowest bid.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Emergency management, Lori, we complied.
Yes, so we did receive our formal notification that our submissions were accepted to be in compliance for 2020. So now we're also working towards our 2021 compliance. And so far, the indications are that we will be required to do an exercise this year, although last year everybody did get an exception. So we'll start to do some planning, even if it's just for a simple exercise, so we can make sure we meet those tasks. And just an update in terms of the MNRF, our spring freshet weekly calls. We've had 2 of those. We will be having another one this week. So far, it's just been setting out water safety notices with the melting ice and that removing off the lakes and rivers. But it's looking like we may even skip to every other week or may not have to have those for the rest of the season, as it's looking as a very, very good season this year. So thankfully for that, we don't have to deal with that this year.
Thanks, Lori. Absolutely. Nice and dry spring, which is great for everyone around the water. Okay, go down to corporate services. Charlene, building permit fees, annual report.
So this is according to the Building Code Act. It is a report that should have been done annually that we're now starting to do. The attached report is intended to satisfy all the reporting requirements of the legislation. And if you had a surplus in the actual between the revenue and expenses, you'd have to create a building department reserve and then if there was a deficit one year, you could take it out, but only if there's a surplus. So right now we have a deficit for that. So there is no requirement yet. And there has not, I did go back several years just to check, and I can confirm that there has not been a surplus in any year that we've had over the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm confident that we have complied, other than the report was not presented to council. So this is just for information purposes for council to be aware that this will happen each year.
And we do have a motion. We do have a motion.
Oh, we have a motion for this?
Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer and Alan.
So moved by Councillor Goche, second by Councillor Wren, that council receives the Building Code Act annual report for 2020 as information.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, Charlene, building permit fee review.
So this is the reason why I'm bringing this forward. So in 2019, we did review the building permit fees, and we did increase them at the time of doubling. We went 50% in 2019, and we did another 50% in 2020. We'd like to see that those fees continue to be increased accordingly. We are suggesting another 50% increase for most of the rates. And then at some point when we get closer to the average of all the municipalities, that perhaps they be increased according to the CPI increase. That's our suggestion. So if you look, and I know it is small, but the biggest 2 columns are the second and third columns, the 2020 rate and the proposed 2021, and then the average as well. So a base rate, we're anticipating that we'd like to charge a base rate charged at application submission. We're having a lot of applications that come in, they get processed, then when they find out how much it is, they decide not to move ahead for whatever reason. Not necessarily how much our charges are, but more how much the building itself is going to cost. Meanwhile, we're out of pocket the time that clause has put into it. And sometimes, it's even calculating the development charges. So we'd like to see that at least a base rate be applicable right at the start of the application. So it's not a free-for-all that they just put the application in and then it's never fulfilled. Residential, we're looking at, we go up to 34 cents for new additions or extensive renovations, where the average is 71 cents per square foot. There's a minimum charge. We're not anticipating that minimum charge change. Anyways, and so I'm sure you've read it. I don't need to go through the whole thing, but is there any questions or concerns or changes to any of these proposed rates, or do you just want to go to CPI at this point in time? How would you like to move forward?
Anyone want to comment on that, Debbie?
Thank you, Steve. I certainly think that we need to have a base rate, because it is taking time from our staff, and it weeds out I guess the tire kickers kind of group. If our staff are spending time, then the people should be serious about whatever development they want. So I certainly in favor of the base rate.
Alan?
I would be in favor of moving forward with the 50% increase. If you look, we have about a $40,000 deficit, and I guess the province is telling us that most stuff now has to be only on a cost recovery basis. So we're not even recovering our costs at this point. So we got to get closer to that cost recovery basis on this.
I think that was our plan when we did it last year, 50%. We do it again this year, and then look at the CPI after that. So if council's okay with that, we'll move forward. Dean, I don't know, do we have a motion on that today? Okay. Do we include the base rate as well? Or is that two different?
So it's to review the attached building permit fee comparisons, and then we need to go to a public meeting process.
Okay.
So once we decide on those rates, then we have to advertise for a public meeting, and then we can pass the rates at that time.
Okay, Brian, you have a question?
My question is, have the other municipalities been increasing theirs at the same rate? Because when we went for the 50% over the 2 years, I thought that was to get us back in the ballpark, and we're still way out. So does that mean everybody else was increasing their rates at the same time? And if we do it one more time and then go to indexed, will we be falling behind again?
No, I don't believe that they're increasing at a 50%. Ours has just been historically so low. These rates hadn't changed prior to 2019 for several years, if not the whole time since the Laurentian Valley came into place. So this is why we're doing such a large increase to catch up. But I can say that no, these rates for the other municipalities, I do not believe that they are increasing in any way, shape, or form at 50%. They're just at their rate, and then they may. I know Armpire for sure increases by CPI. I don't know how everybody else does their increases per year, or if they even increased compared to 2019.
So this one is more of the catch up, as we said.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. Dean, you want a motion?
Yeah, mover and a seconder, please.
Okay, Brian and Debbie?
Moved by Councillor Ugly, second by Reeve Robinson, that council review the attached building permit fee comparisons and recommendation for changes to the building permit fees for 2021 and proceed to a public meeting process.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
And then starting in the public meeting, we'll deal with the minimum charge.
Yes, so those rates will be published for anybody to make comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, again, Charlene, the request from Mixburg.
Yes, so again, this year we're getting a request from Mixburg Community and Cultural Center, which is separate from the Mixburg Recreation Association. So we have passed the budget. We do have set aside a remaining allotment of that amount of $1,375 for council to consider under that line. We do have some COVID funding as well that is available that could be utilized for this, because really it is to offset some COVID losses. So we could, grant them the full grant that they are asking for if we utilized the remaining of the grant of $1375 and then some of the COVID funding that we have received for 2021. They are looking to offset their operations costs. I believe I put in here as well that in 2011, we did give them $2,000. In 2020, we did give them $1,375, and that was operating costs due to the pandemic as well. So my suggestion is to at least grant them the $1,375, if not the full grant of $2,000 that they're requesting, because we do have the availability of funds.
Alan and then Brian.
My question is, this is like deja vu. Did we not go through this last year as well, late? The request came in and we told them that next year they had to get their request in the fall when we're doing our budgets for all of the other recs. Am I mistaken there? Now we're getting it again at like way past the passing of budget and everything.
No, they were not notified to that effect. And I don't think anybody in the fall could anticipate, nor did they anticipate at the start of budget operations in 2020 that there was going to be such an issue with COVID, as well as because we did our requests back in the fall of 2020. We didn't anticipate that this COVID would continue at such a rate it has. And no, they were not informed to do this otherwise. And I'm not sure that they would have, even if they had been notified.
Then my suggestion would be is I'm fine with granting them that, but they need to get their requests in the same as all of the other recreation associations that we fund. In the fall when we're doing all of that, we need to, I guess, send them a letter to that effect, that that's when they're going to have to make those requests.
Okay. No, Charlene, or Debbie, go ahead. No, sorry, Brian, you had a comment, then Debbie.
I was just going to move that we grant them the $2,000 and.
Okay. Deb.
Thank you. So I understand what Alan's saying is for them to get their request in early, but I have the sense that they're not looking really for us to annually assist them. I get the sense that maybe this is because it didn't work out for them that they're looking for the money. Charlene, maybe you could help me out with that, but because I was sort of in the same position Alan was, saying, let's give them the money, but ask them to apply earlier. But perhaps they are only applying because they weren't able to manage what they have. We don't give them money every year to them. So, I would say kudos to them for trying to manage it and not being able to, looking for assistance. And we definitely have the money. We should do it. But maybe, Charlene, you can clarify if I'm incorrect on that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why they applied last year as well, because of COVID. And this year again, because of the operating costs, they're not able to hold any functions, rent the hall. They're not fundraising at all. I know other communities are fundraising. I think they've kind of taken it that, everybody else that can is fundraising. I guess if we weren't to grant them the funds, maybe they'd be forced to go out and fundraise. I just think at this point in time, there are so many others looking to fundraise that can't get funds from anybody else. And this is not an annual request at this time, unless we see COVID next year as well, which I really hope we don't.
Debbie, you had another follow-up?
I just wanted, it's just not realistic to expect them to fundraise this time, in the midst of a pandemic. But again, maybe just, if we give them the money in the letter, just ask them if they anticipate earlier on needing it, please let us know in the fall. If they don't, then that's fantastic. And I get the sense that they take pride in being self-sufficient. So it's just, unfortunately, they've had to ask for some help.
Yes.
Charlene, with the amount of money that we have in the COVID budget that we received, are we going to use it all? Like, we better, I know you need to use it by what, the end of the year or something? And you have to file a report. Like, I'm just wondering, do we take the whole 2,000 out of COVID or do we split it?
We could split it. We could take the 1375. I don't know that we're going to get any requests from any other organization at this time. Certainly, there's no hockey teams looking to go to the provincials or anything like that. So that's the only other type of request that we've received later on during the year, is when a hockey team does go to the interprovincials.
What does council want to do? Or what do you suggest, Charlene?
I suggest that we split it at this time. And if we do have a request from somebody else later on, then we can just allocate the full 2,000 from the COVID-19. It's just a matter of tracking on my part.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I have Brian as moving it.
Yeah,
And I
that's
need
right.
somebody to second it.
And Debbie?
So moved by Councillor Ugly, second by Reeve Robinson, that council consider the request from Mixburg Community and Cultural Center for their grant.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlene. Move down to the CN Rail Land appraisal request. Dean?
Okay, so I got a phone call. Well, I received a couple of phone calls in the past little while with regards to, I guess, the link, the CN trail. As everybody is aware, CN has been trying to actively sell the line. They would prefer to sell it as a whole, but they would also okay with selling portions of it. And we've been informed, and I haven't officially, but a fairly good source now, that the line has been splintered. A portion has been sold to a group. I'm not sure who it is. I don't have the name, but it has been sold. So what happened then was there was some contact made between I got a phone call from the county, and I also got one from OFSC, and they informed me of this. And I did get one from Whitewater Region and their CAO, who had spoken to Mr. Longo with regards to CN, and they got talking, and they're quite interested in purchasing their share of the CN line. And Mr. Longo basically said that now that it's a broken trail, obviously the appraised value certainly goes down, way down, because it's not a connecting link any longer. So what the decision was in their books, and this is Whitewater asking us if we would like to participate, is they're looking at getting an appraisal value with regards to basically from the Ontario or the Quebec-Ontario provincial or Quebec-Ontario border to their boundary on the west end, which then would ask also for us to go from our eastern portion of CN line, basically from our our boundary in towards to Hawthorne Bridge, Hawthorne Lane, I should say. So the appraisal, the CN has agreed to pay half the appraisal value, and then we would be paying our portion, which is identified in the report, and CN or Whitewater would be paying their portion. So the thought was that maybe it is good value to get an appraised value to see where we're at with regards to this. There's no commitment, obviously. We're just going to get in and get a value. And then I know council had some other concerns, but at this point, it's just strictly to see whether it's an affordable thing to get. Because one thing is that we would like to see, at least the feeling is that at least there would be a connecting link to the Algonquin Trail, at least from CN to Algonquin, if we purchase that of our section of CN. So that gets us to the Quebec border on the eastern end of us. So that was just a thought process. It's $1,000 commitment on our part at this point, and where it falls, I certainly don't know, but it's just right now we're just asking for a partnership with Whitewater Region and CN to get that value.
Hey, Debbie, then Alan.
Thank you, Steve. So I think it's a good idea to spend $1,000. Let's find out exactly what the appraisal is. And again, first of all, they were asking an exorbitant amount of money earlier on in the game. And, just to take you back a bit, we did try as municipalities to negotiate with CN, and we realized early on that we did not have the capacity to do that. So I did, at one point I had the county convinced again to consider the CN line because it is a crucial connection with Quebec for us. So, county did some negotiating got close, and then it ended again. So I think we should do that. I would like to find out how much they want for it. I'm not keen on purchasing the portion of the line though that goes where the former CN train station was, because if you want to talk about contamination, I would suggest that portion is probably significantly contaminated. The issue with CN has always been that they would not indemnify us for any historical environmental issues that arose. But that being said, $1,000 to find out what they want for it. And again, it does give us the connection to the CP line. I would also recommend that once we have the appraisal, that we sit down with Whitewater and the County of Renfrew to have a conversation about how we can somehow get this into the trail system for the county, if that's possible.
Alan, thanks, Deb.
So I guess my question is, and I'm in favor of it too. I think we should spend the money so we can all make an educated decision on how we move forward with this. But my question is where's the city on this? Because you'd need the city's portion to connect to the Algonquin Trail, unless you're going to go backwards.
Well, I guess the city has not been, I guess, because their land in the CN has been purchased, according to their CN portion has been purchased. I think there might be a little chunk at the end on the west end of it, but other than that, it's been all purchased by a private individual. So the question, you're right. I mean, we get our Algonquin Trail service to our city limits, but well, I guess now it's a little bit past. We know the city did open it for snowmobiles with regards to at least, to Santa Fe, I guess, or whatever you want to call it now, the Nelson Street Pub. But I don't know what they're planning to do with the further west end of the Algonquin Trail, but that'll obviously come out this year. But so that portion. The other thing being said, one thing I should have probably brought up, I thought of it on the weekend, was that I don't know if we want, when they're doing the appraisal, do we want to skip and do our western end of CN just to have that too as well? Or do we, I mean, it would be broken, but at least we would have it for some other purposes, whatever that might be. I mean, that's just another option. I don't know what that would cost, but it's just another option to throw out there. When they're doing the appraisal, it might be cheaper than hiring to do it some other time, but just a thought.
But we still don't have an opportunity to go west though.
No, not as a connecting link. No.
Debbie.
It might be worthwhile, you're saying that, Dan, to give the county a call, see if they're interested possibly in the western part from Laurentian Valley outwards to Algonquin Park. That might be a possibility. The other thing, just to remind everyone, is the Algonquin Trail is owned by the County of Renfrew. If the County of Renfrew decides they're going to stone dust the rest of that trail within the city limits, then it's going to be opened. Again, the city of Pembroke it is the same thing that for us it is for city of Pembroke. If they don't want vehicles on the trail, they have to offer an alternative route. We're not the only ones that have to conform to that. So, and again, it does bring the CN line, brings traffic in from Quebec, and it could link up at the MDF plant and run the Algonquin Trail. Or they can come as far as Hawthorne. If it's ATVs can use the road. They could take the road up, and link onto Algonquin Trail near, off of Forest Road. There's a spur line there.
I know, just
Boundary Road and down, whatever, but I mean, I think it's worthwhile. Let's find out what we're talking about money wise, and then let's see, because money's the one thing for me. The other one is the environmental contamination. Are they getting, softening their approach to that as well?
And I just added, I'm just going to add that I did speak to OFSC, and they're quite concerned, obviously, with the CN being splintered now. They're going to really have trouble because they're connecting top trail. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with them in the future, but they're quite concerned about that as well.
Okay. Certainly I'm fine with spending the $1,000. I'm certainly not fine if we're going to be responsible down the road for it, but one step at a time, and just make it very clear that we're only doing this study and that's our total investment at this time. Does any other council have any questions? So we need a motion, first and second there, Dean?
Please.
I guess Alan and Debbie, you spoke on it. Do you want to second it? Okay.
So moved by Councillor Wren, second by Reeve Robinson, the Council of the Township of Laurentian Valley participate in appraisal of CN rail bed lands on the eastern end of Laurentian Valley at an estimated cost of $1,000.
All in favor? Carried.
Are we going to look at the west end portion?
Maybe if council is, if I can get some consensus, I could ask to see what the price of that would be and maybe come back to council. Would that be reasonable to see, maybe to move forward that way?
Included at the same price would be good.
Yeah, okay, I'll mention that. I'll try that first and I will go ahead and do that if they suggest that, but if not, I'll bring it back to council. Reeve Robinson is.
Can I just ask clarification, perhaps maybe from Alan? When you talk the western portion, Alan, where are you speaking from?
So from the west end of town, so over at Jean Avenue and heading out, okay?
Okay.
To hook back to the Algonquin Trail on the far end of town. That spur line that would go back around that way.
So basically from Elgin Street and then shifting downwards to Jean and then to the Algonquin Trail. Correct?
If I may, it may be worth it if to find out it just, if CN is talking about splitting half the cost for the appraisal, it might be worthwhile, but we'll see.
We'll leave that in your capable hands, Dean. Get back to council.
I will. Okay.
Okay, we'll move down to information. Fire Chief Tim has been very quiet up until this point. Hi, Tim.
I'm always quiet.
Busy month.
Oh, yeah. Well, we went from nothing to lots, and you knew it was going to happen sooner or later, but no, it's been busy. This month's not starting off any better, so.
And you got a fire ban on for open air burning?
Yeah, we're going to put it for open burning. A lot of the areas in the county have put a ban on everything because last weekend, every fire department in the county was out fighting a fire someplace. And Monday, Whitewater and Douglas were out fighting the same one. And people, they just don't understand how fast it's getting away. It's drying up so fast. So right now, it's just an open burning. It'll probably be on for most of the summer. M&R really doesn't like you have open burning in the summer, but we can override if we want, but it's best that we don't. So
right.
We'll have to reevaluate that down the road.
Okay, any questions on Tim's report? Any questions for Tim in general? I guess that's it. Thanks, Tim. Unless you want to add anything else.
I have one thing. Can I talk?
Absolutely. You got exactly 30. No, you got as much time as you need.
No, I got a feel-good thing to tell you. On Saturday morning, we had an MVC on Highway 17, and in the process of it, the people had a dog, and the dog got away and ran into the bush. And of course, we couldn't find the dog, and so when the guys got back to the hall, they put out on Facebook that the dog was missing, and so on and so forth. And then our captain, Matt Shapey, was at the call. Him and his wife and the kids went out, and he knew the area and went out, and they were out about an hour, and they found the dog. So he got a hold of the owner, and the owner's father picked the dog up that afternoon. And so it's kind of a nice thing to happen. Kudos to Matt Shapey.
Good for the Shapey family. Good for Laurentian Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
Take care. Say hello to everybody at the hall.
Okay, thanks.
All righty.
Stay COVID free. Jeez.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so down to animal control. Any questions on animal control? We have January and February. Right up to date, Dean. Right on.
Getting better. Getting trying. Yeah.
Okay, Eorn. Again, it's for information. Dean, you want something to add, or Debbie, you have anything to add to that?
I don't certainly have anything to add. Maybe the warden would have something to add. I mean, that's certainly her project in her backyard, but that's certainly great news for us, I'm sure. But
absolutely.
I don't really have any more to add. The information is all there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So we go down to OBP detachment. So this is something that I'll speak to because I've spoken to a few people on it. We received it March 18th as per the letter from Stefan. I did receive a call, sorry, not from Stefan, but from the Solicitor General. And I had received a call from Mike LeMay the week before on behalf of the City of Pembroke stating that they're not interested in going to this type of format and we're applying to stay on their own. Basically, the gist of this is that right now we're in a, what do we call it, class 5, Dean, whereas we don't have a board, etc. Where the City of Pembroke and Petawawa both are class 10. So they have their own board and make some rules, select your staff sergeants, etc. So the idea here from the OBP is to make our whole detachment, which would take you from, I believe, Whitewater is part of ours, Pembroke, Petawawa, Laurentian Valley, Laurentian Hills, not Deep River because they have their own force, quite a few, and make us one board for all of us. And what that would do would be very difficult, I think, because there's so many different communities involved and you want representation. Do you get a weighted vote depending on population where you go from 17,000 in one municipality to 300 in another? So Mike LeMay has applied. He was to let me know with his results. I then contacted Mayor Sweet to see what they were doing, and they're not applying to be on their own, but he has contacted Stefan to have a meeting to see what really is going on here or get more information. I know in Stefan's email to Dean, it did state that if you had any further questions to contact certain people, but not himself. So I don't know. Obviously, it's a province-wide thing and not done through Stefan. So I've asked Mayor Sweet after he's had the conversation to maybe call a meeting with all the partners that are in this detachment and decide where we're going from there. But it would be quite a change. Debbie, question.
Thank you. I think it's a positive change. We have never really had an opportunity to be a part of a police services board. Now it has some power, but not a whole lot of power. But there are issues that do come in front of the police services board. You know, when in my other life, when I was a journalist, I actually really enjoyed covering the police services board in Pembroke. So, you know, I think it is workable. And you've actually identified some of the ways it can happen, Steve, with a weighted vote, you know, or a different number of participants per municipality. I mean, we are you know, geographically, we're the largest municipality in the county of Renfrew. You know, we need to have a say in what we can have a say in. So when I read through it, it just indicates, I think we have to indicate an interest. We certainly don't have to indicate who at this point or anything like that. But I think we should definitely move forward and just learn more information about it, as you obviously are planning to do.
Yeah, the deadline is June 7th to submit your members of the detachment, but somewhere I believe I read or heard that there's only 10 people on a board. If you got 6 or 7 municipalities and 20% is provincially appointed, it's going to be tough to sit around with 10 people on a board, but you know, anything's possible. But certainly when I get more information, Charlene, we certainly have to keep that Monday, June 7th in mind. But hopefully we'll get a meeting before then. Dean?
We had a CAO's meeting this morning, and the topic was brought up, and I did volunteer. I am going to contact Steph Neufeld, the inspector, to kind of ask him who we might get to basically to give a presentation, at least to the CAO, so we're better versed on it. When I did mention, you know, maybe bringing the mayors in as well. So if we get that kind of scenario, depending on what the actual process is of that, then I'll let council know if they're all invited or if it's just the mayors. I don't know, and I don't know where we're going to go. But we need to get somebody who has the knowledge base exactly what they're after here and what the, you know, and the do's and don'ts and why they're doing this. So just kind of a heads up that we may get something kind of in the next little bit to kind of, you know, give us a little more information so we're more educated before we make a decision one way or another.
Brian, just for you, go ahead, Brian.
I can see where they're trying to streamline things because it's got to be confusing for them at this point when you've got one board in Petawawa trying to move them one way and Pembroke another way, and then there's the other municipalities with a third board. It's not just the time involved to prepare for the meetings, but to answer to them all and keep everybody happy is difficult. It's better to get everybody around one table and come to a consensus as a detachment than to have to answer to 3 separate boards.
Absolutely. Dean, was Dan Sissons on that call?
He was, yes, he was. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you just want to mention him. I'm sure he'll talk to Bob because, as I said, Bob and I talked last week.
Okay.
So you're not duplicating things with Stefan. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So, impact, Charlene. Again, just information that they're staying with 216, right? I think you're on mute, Charlene.
Yes, so just basically it's information to let council know that they are sticking with the 2016 valuation. So in other words, what your property was valued at as of January 1st, 2016 for not only the 2021, but also the 2022 assessment year.
Okay. Debbie, you have a question?
Not a question, just a comment. You know, when we finally get the assessment brought up again, which would be 2020, I suspect, figures, people are going to be shocked what their assessment is going to be. And that, you know, and we see what's happening with real estate lately. It's going to hurt an awful lot of people by delaying this, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm hoping that even if they do January 1st, 2020, it won't impact as much as if they did January 1st, 2021. Or January 1st, 2022. So it'll be interesting because we didn't really see the COVID impact until later on, like late spring, early summer 2020. So I'm kind of hoping that they go to January 1st, 2020, and then at least whatever the market is going to do, should even off or stay high. And then if it stays high, then do it, you know, over the next 4 years and see where it goes. But the sales are still going to be affected by those sale prices, current market value, but the neighborhood won't be affected, is my understanding. Is that the sales, those particular properties could very well be affected at a higher price, but the neighborhood itself, when they do comparatives, it'll be compared to a non-sale property as of January 1st, 2020. But I am not an assessor, nor do I pretend to be, but
No.
it will be interested moving forward, that is for sure.
Dean.
We might be relating back to the old days of phase-in assessment and doing that. I know Charlene will love that. That might chase her out the door, but that's what we did way back when it picked up when they came to, I believe it was 2006, maybe those values, and we didn't do a phase-in assessment. And maybe with the large increases, maybe we're looking at that again in the next.
Yeah, it will certainly be a phase-in assessment like it has continued for a number of years. So, and that's why we're still based on 2016. But it will be phased in over time, and that's okay. My biggest concern with property owners coming in from cities is I think council may very well get a lot of questions about services and what their services they're used to receiving and what services are provided in the municipalities that they're buying in. So just to give a heads up that maybe we should start thinking about how we're going to address that, because there is going to be a demand. We are seeing a lot of sales coming from people from Toronto.
Well, certainly with the positive thing out of that, Charlene, will be the amount that they're going to see in the tax bill when they're in Laurentian Valley versus City of Toronto. Debbie?
I would hope so.
Well, one of the services they will be looking at, first of all, they should be investigating before they, cut the check for their house. But that being said, one of the services they're definitely going to expect is decent broadband service. So again,
Yes.
anytime anyone has a chance to talk up the EORN project and that gig project, because that would give Eastern Ontario a huge leg up as far as broadband is concerned. So, as we all saw in the provincial budget, the $2.8 billion for broadband, the EORN project, which is the Eastern Ontario one that we would be benefiting from, they're looking for $300 million from the feds and $300 million from the province. Certainly, that's in the budget. We just don't know whether or not they're going to approach it as a regional project, but that's going to be, if we can get that here, if everybody can access broadband and afford to access broadband, we're going to see a huge growth in our population base in Eastern Ontario and hopefully in Laurentian Valley, because who doesn't want to live in Laurentian Valley?
Right on. Okay, down to water quality and their audit and certificate. Again, for information, any questions for Mark or Charlene or Dean on that? Congrats to staff, we passed with flying colors. Okay, down to road change, drive-in road. Again, maybe I'll speak to that since I've been involved in it with Dwayne McDougall, who is the author of the original letter to the county, asking for the county to reconsider it. He had the reasons of the drive-in road, drive-in being gone for 40 years, and came up with suggestions as far as Jack Wilson Drive or Laurentian Valley Drive. I do know that some councillors have had the opportunity, to talk to some of our ratepayers. It's been in the media, it's been on Facebook, etc. I know that the county has turned it down, and I understand from the warden that there will be a change that it would be handled by the municipality first and then passed on to the county if the municipality was in support. I kind of like the idea of Laurentian Valley Drive as one name, but at the same time, there are costs involved. And do we spend taxpayers' money on changing the name of a road? Certainly I'll open it up. And I guess I asked Dean to put this on the agenda because if Laurentian Valley is in favor of moving forward and working on getting a name change, it would come from the township to the county. So kind of inverse of what happened to begin with. But certainly want to hear council's comments and where do you want to go from here with it? Alan?
So one comment I got from a resident that lives on Drive-In Road was, when all the Thrashers are gone, are we going to change the name of Thrasher Lane? It's been Drive-In Road. It's been Drive-In Road forever. He's happy with it. He doesn't want the name of the road that he's living on changed.
Okay. Deb.
Thanks. So I haven't heard from one of the 30 people on Drive-In Road wanting it changed. I haven't heard anybody saying they don't want it changed either. So, I mean, if we really want to go down this road, we should probably contact those, 30 residents and ask them. I mean, a lot of roads that we have are actually named after historical events or people or whatever. So, I mean, the Drive-In Road to me is fine. I don't think people are going to the Skylight Drive-In, driving down Drive-In Road. Everybody Googles map. If they don't know where Skylight Drive-In is, they'll Google it on a map. But just to clarify where the position of the county was, that when it came to the Operations Committee meeting, and the director of Public Works talked about, what he had done. He had looked at how many houses and that sort of thing. But my concern is that I don't think the county should be considering changing any name of any road in any municipality without the municipality asking that it be done. It's not, it's yes, the county owns it, but it's within the certain municipality. So there will be a policy developed which will say that if the county is to consider renaming a road, that there has to be a resolution from the municipality where that road is located to ensure that the municipality in fact wants it, and it's just not a random idea that someone has, because can you imagine how we would feel as a council if the county contacted Dean and said, by the way, Drive-In Road, we're changing it to whatever, so there will be a policy, and it will really be if the municipality wants it changed. So the legwork has to be done by the local municipality, talking to the residents and all the rest of it. That being said, I would love to see Pembroke Street East from Campbell Drive East called Laurentian Valley Drive. If we're going to change one, that's the one I'd want to change. But anyway, that's my comments.
Thanks, Terry. Chris and then Keith.
Again, I think you guys seen my comments, but I'll make them again. While I'm torn with the traditional names, which I really like, and I don't like when tradition changes, sometimes it's for the better. I really enjoy the namesakes of all of our forefathers and the ones to come behind us. But I'm like Debbie, I think that even Greenwood all the way to the highway is good, but Whitewater certainly may not be in favor of that one, along with all of the residents in Greenwood. But what I like about it is just the advertising alone. So anything called Laurentian Valley Drive, I think we should look at what is the best case. And I wouldn't leave Beeline out of the question either, because you would have road signs on 2 major highways then saying Laurentian Valley Drive at least. It would help us with our identity problem that we have here in Laurentian Valley. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Keith.
I see no real need to change the name of the drive-in road. I was contacted by one person who indicated that they weren't interested, and there will be others that aren't interested. There's going to be work involved for them, mailing addresses, on license, everything down the road. And there's no real gain there in that respect.
Okay, Brian, please.
Has there ever been any study or work done on connecting drive-in roads so it would come out to the bypass on a more direct fashion than winding around and taking town line and back out again? I'm thinking if drive-in road, if you had a vision looking at the map to get that to come into Laurentian Valley Square and right into the valley directly, then that would certainly warrant the name Laurentian Valley Way, and it would warrant a name change when you're connecting a bunch together. And I'm wondering if there's any consultation or investigation any thought been put into that?
Laurie, not really. And I know that we've got a possible study coming up on the back end from the city of Pembroke behind the built-up stores to Wilson Road, or to Drive-In Road coming that way. But we certainly haven't looked at the other one at this time. I think we almost have to wait for more development for that to come. Maybe Laurie, you can comment on that.
Yeah, I think basically, there hasn't been a formal proposal, but be looking forward to that. And I think Dean also had a comment to maybe reiterate on that.
Yeah, I guess my comment was just to add to Councillor Ugley's request. There would be a connecting link if we're talking about continuing to Drive-In Road and maybe aiming towards Paul Martin Drive would be through Hawthorne Lane. Although the properties, it's in private ownership through there. Once you get through Hawthorne, there is a chunk of property there that is privately owned. So we'd have to get a connection to that. That has been mentioned, I know, from the previous mayor. He certainly had some, visions of seeing that. So maybe that's something we could, possibly look into for future, and it would connect with somewhere along down there with Paul Martin and the city limits.
Alan.
So, with the mayor, the previous mayor years ago, that was looked at, but it was also looked at by the city of Pembroke on coming in past the big stop and straight into basically where Cassidy's was. Both of those proposals kind of got put on the back burner as soon as they started looking at putting a bridge across. It made the cost to get across the river with a bridge just not worth it at that point. Good idea, but it was just too expensive. Okay, so I think everybody's had a chance to speak on that.
So I guess I take it from this that we're not going to move any further on this request on Drive-In Road. Certainly it's something maybe, Mark, you can keep in your background that, any other road that we may see down the way as to any changes. But like Chris, I like your idea of B-line, but you can imagine how many addresses have to be changed on that road. But anyways, it's food for thought, but I wanted to bring it to council, so it was debated and spoken about, and I'll certainly let Dwayne know that for now that we're not going to move anywhere with it. Chris?
I think to make an informed decision, we should survey the residents of Drive-In Road and the residents of Beeline. We can't just continue to sit here and try to think about what everybody else is thinking. Let's hear what they think.
We can. We could send a letter out to Drive-In Road residents and Beeline if council's interested.
I'm assuming we're going to get a hard no, but at least we will know for sure then.
Right, because that would take a lot of work. And Debbie had a comment.
Yeah, so I just think we're now going to open up a big can of worms here, talking about changing names of roads. That again, Beeline, everybody knows where it is, and it's the boundary line. I mean that's what it is, right? So I wouldn't want to start sending a letter out to everyone on Beeline Road saying, do you want a name change? Because people are going to get very anxious and very upset about that. Drive-In Road, it's, as you said, Steve, it's been in the media, it's been on Facebook, people are talking about it. We have not had a groundswell of people from the residents on Drive-In Road asking us to change it. I think it should die here, and anybody at any time who lives on any road can bring it forward to us. But if you will recall, there was a request from a well-known family in Allison Fraser Township a number of years ago who wanted a name change because the road had run through their former farm property, and that didn't go over very well either. So I just don't think it's worth the effort to try to get people all upset about something that they're not asking for.
Dean, go ahead.
Just to add to that, I guess the question before we go out to ask, I think we need to do soul searching of our own council to say, if we get 5, is that enough, or is it 10, or are we looking for 100%? So I think there's if we're going to go down that path, we need to do some legwork exactly of what we're expecting from this survey results to move forward. But I think at this point, I'm just recommending that we follow the Reeves advice at this point and see if, certainly Drive-In Road has been in the media and we have not got any calls in the office as well, either way, one way or another.
Alan and Jennifer.
So I agree that there's no reason for us to change the road. And I believe in Dwayne's letter, he said that he wanted to go and talk to the residents in that area. Then that's his prerogative. If he wants to go and talk to the residents in that area and they come to council and say, we demand that you change this road that they live on, then that's when we would make a decision moving forward.
Okay. Council's okay with that. We'll leave it at that for now. And I know in Dwayne's letter it does state that once COVID has slowed down that he would attempt to do that. So again, at this point, we'll just leave it in his hands and move on from there. Okay, thanks for your comments. Move down to subcommittees. Festival Hall. We have the minutes there from Festival Hall. Jennifer, anything to add?
Nothing really to add. It was just kind of a weird meeting to kind of brainstorm on getting some funding, and it was really nothing. Hopefully new seats, and that's just pretty much sums it up.
Okay. Any questions for Jen? Seeing none, then we have Pembroke Public Library. We have the minutes and the monthly statement. Things are going well there, Keith?
Yes, things are going well. Even with the shutdown going on now, you can reserve circulating materials online or by telephone. And they're having drop off or pick up, or some cases it can actually be delivered, the goods, if there's an actual need for it. They can't enter the library. They can work on the computers and photocopiers, but they cannot touch any of the books in there. Patrons do not handle those. It's the staff only who will pick them up and provide them for their pickup. return items are continually being disinfected as well. So they're still in operation and people still walking in the door.
Right on. Good. Thanks, Keith. Move down to business. Stafford Park, rink boards, etc. Dean, you want to start? Mark.
I can start quickly, and then I'm going to pass to Mark. Certainly, it was his. Just all I'm going to say is this came all from fruition from Councillor Plow, who read something and mentioned, contacted me and just stated that, you know, just to realize that Petawawa was doing the boards and maybe it would be a good, you know, good grab or a good concept for Stafford Park. And from there, Mark and I then we did go and meet with Petawawa to see if they were interested. And Mark's been there subsequently, and we've also talked to the committee. So I'll just let Mark go over his report with you, and then we can decide if we're moving forward with that or not.
Okay. Hello, Mark.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'll just kind of give a quick overview of the report. Now, there's lots of information there. It has been previously identified that the outdoor rink at Stafford Park is in need of replacement. It's a wooden freestanding system that measures approximately 60 feet by 120 feet and was built in 1999. The rink is one of our most popular, and that's thanks to the efforts of our volunteer group that look after it on a daily basis in the winter. One downfall to the rink is that it does have a sod surface on the inside, and it doesn't allow for ball hockey or other sporting activities or any other festivals or events in the summer months. As the CEO has mentioned, we did recently learn through Councillor Plow that the Civic Centre in Petawawa was replacing their boards, and that there was an opportunity to acquire them. So on two occasions, I did attend the site, once with the CAO, and then on a subsequent evening, I went with the volunteer group from Stafford Park so we could kind of look and assess and see if it would suit the needs of the volunteers. Due to limited space at the park, the volunteer group is planning on building a rink that is a similar size to what's there now, so staying close to that 60 feet by 120 feet. The surface in Petawawa is just slightly shy of what an NHL or official size ice rink would be. But due to the layout at the park and close proximity to the fire hall, if the rink was built to the full size, it would actually be encroaching onto the fire hall property, or it would have to move so far away from the building, it wouldn't allow for use of the building or easy access to the rink for tying skates. So, and one thing to note is that most of the work there it's manual maintenance. There are no tractors, Zambonis, other equipment. There's no storage garage for it. So a lot of the volunteer work that is done is it's a lot of hand labor. So having that smaller size, I think, is a little more suitable for that location. It is recommended there is a tempered glass system on the rink, and we are recommending that we try to sell that. The support system is obsolete and parts can no longer be purchased. And so if we were to get into some issues once it was installed, we could be looking into having to fully replace that system. So our thought was that there probably are other municipalities or other areas that do have that similar support system, and there might be some financial benefit to sell it to a municipality that's using that, because having all those extra components could fetch some money and again help to offset the cost. Looking at our last outdoor rink project as a comparison, it was done at Allison Fraser Recreation Center in 2017-2018. The cost total price was approximately $264,000. The work that we have with the savings in the board system, using some volunteer work, staying with the smaller size, we're kind of looking right now at a maximum of $127,000. In comparison, the total project is actually almost the same cost as what it was to just buy the boards at the Allison Fraser rink, and it was similar to what was done in Shady Nook years ago. So while the project was not included in the 2021 capital budget, the used rink board system through the town of Petawawa could present a substantial savings when compared to the cost of a new rink system and a new complete board system, sorry. And as a result, it is recommended that the township fund the project from recreation reserves, which have an approximate draft balance at the end of 2021 of about $150,000. And then remaining works, which would include the paving and screening of some of those works in 2022 budget as well.
Okay, open it up, Council. Debbie.
I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea. We would never, it would take us a long time to be able to afford to replace that at the brand new cost. And the fact that we're going to have a cement pad in there makes that such more attractive option for people in that area. And there's a lot of families there. I think it's a fantastic idea. Thrilled that that Chris heard about it, that Dean and Mark did all the work, and now Charlene had to figure out how we pay for it.
Brian.
Certainly in favor of getting the boards. I did reply to the email to everyone last week, wondering if we could just not buy the glass and supporting part and have to pack it up and ship it and then store it and then try and sell it. It just sounds like if we didn't buy that part in the first place, it saves an awful lot of headaches and storage and upfront costs as well. Let them have the headache of getting rid of those things as opposed to us doing it.
Dean.
Maybe just in response to that, yeah, unfortunately, they wanted to get rid of every component. They're just, the contractors, I mean, they've given us a price, as we'll talk about in a second, to remove it. And it was kind of basically a take it all or take none kind of thing. They wanted, their Petawall was certainly getting rid of it. I mean, they were getting rid of it. So this all comes as a package. And as Mark says, hopefully we can put it on gov deals, or maybe there's another local municipality that wants it one way or another. I mean, I don't think it's going to cost us any money to get rid of it. And we may gain something, or we may not gain it. We might gain a friend. Who knows? So I think it's unfortunately it comes with the whole package.
Alan.
I say we go ahead with it, and I think Charlene has told us earlier that we're quite possibly going to have a bit of a surplus this year. So we will have the money, and it won't really affect our budget this year. So I think it's a huge opportunity.
Are you suggesting, Alan, that we do everything this year, including the pavement?
Well, I'd say let's look at what our surplus is going to be. And you know what? Like Debbie said, there's a ton of people in that area that use that. And that would be fantastic for that park. The sooner we can get it up and running, I say the better.
I have to agree, too. If we can do it, Charlene, in any way, I think it all should be done now. Should be done this year. Certainly we'll be having the conversation regarding the surplus in the next couple of weeks. So certainly if we even get an agreement tonight to move forward with the boards and everything, I guess we've already bought the board. So I don't know if there's a decision to be made, but I think we have a motion. But no, I certainly think that if we can get it all done this year and be open for next winter, I think it'd be great. Brian.
Oh, just before Tim asks, I'm sure he's going to wonder if there's money in the budget for a snowblower or a defibrillator if they're shoveling it all by hand.
Any other questions? Chris?
Mark, could we get a look at line painting and basketball nets, tennis court, that kind of thing for summertime sports there?
Yep, absolutely. I think that's one of the benefits of using asphalt as opposed to concrete. I know not many line painting companies want to paint on a concrete surface, so that's part of the reason why we're going to go asphalt. We paint the surface white, similar to Allison Fraser, and then we can repaint some kind of line system internally. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Any more comments, questions? Chris?
One more, sorry, to the recreation group or the counselor in charge of it. If anybody has access to a registered charity, we could probably run a little catch the ace for them, or 50-50, something along those lines. If somebody can reach out to a registered charity.
Okay, good idea. Alan?
I could always contact Allison Fraser Minor Sports. That's who did it with Allison Fraser when they ran it. I know there wasn't too much appetite for it after that one, but that might have changed by now.
Yeah, and I won't speak for the rec group, but I would think with a little direction, the rec group could really help the Alice people run the actual lottery. You know, like we just need a license holder basically.
Okay, Dean, you can pass all that on.
So I guess I just need a motion with regards to, so that the only decision we need to make is, is the cost. So just to break down the cost of Petawawa would be, the contractor's wanting $4,500 to dismantle it, $1,500 to deliver it to our yard, and then a contribution to Petawawa between 5 and 10. I've suggested 5, so that's what I'm suggesting, but I don't know if council feels any different than that. We're moving on a motion with $11,000 to Petawawa for the cost of the boards. So,
Alan?
5's good with me. Petawawa's got enough money.
Debbie?
I need to move it.
5's good with me as well, because now we have to try to divest ourselves of that other part. So we're taking it off their hands. You know, we're being very generous.
Okay, Chris?
I was going to move it, but I can move or second. It doesn't matter.
Okay, moved by Chris, second by Alan.
Moved by Councillor Plow, second by Councillor Wren, that council proceed with the purchase of the rink boards from Petawawa Civic Center at a cost of $11,000 for the replacement of Stafford rink boards, as the report dated April 6, 2021.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're down subcommittees, Waste Recovery Center. You see our minutes there of meeting summary of March 18th. I guess like everything else happening, the leachate system that's going to be going on this summer or possibly this fall has jumped about $400,000. It's gone from about 1.9 to 2.3. We've already are in for, I'm not exactly sure what the number is turning, but fortunately, because of the market and the decrease in years for the perpetual care, the center had a surplus, and it looks like right now we won't have to ask for any more money other than what we asked for originally. Other than that, the markets are trending up, which is good, and I'm ready for any questions. Okay, if not, we'll go to CPAC. Nothing there, Jennifer? No. Okay. Move down to Community Development, Recreation and Culture, Friends of the Disabled.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Shady Nook, Brian.
We're supposed to meet on Thursday night. We'll see how the shutdown affects that, but we're to be meeting Thursday night.
Okay. Alison Fraser, Chris?
Nothing there either.
Forest Lee, Keith?
Nothing to report.
Yep. Pleasant View, nothing there. And Stafford? Spend enough money tonight in Stafford. We don't need.
Well, no, we had a meeting. We had a meeting, and I was a week late for the meeting. Somehow Nevada messaged me, and I don't know. There was no date on it. Anyways, the meeting was just about baseball, how to go forward with that. But again, it's day by day with COVID, so not really much to report.
Okay. I guess that is it. Dean?
Yeah, other than council comments, I guess if we...
yeah, council comments. Brian?
Reeves report too to Reeve, I don't know. She have a verbal, maybe?
Debbie?
Nope. Don't.
Okay.
I don't. No, I don't. I haven't even thought about it. So I will try to get something together for the next meeting. It's just been rather hectic.
Any council comments? Debbie?
I actually had to approve a press release this afternoon from the county because they're going to be providing funding again for community gardens. So, which reminded me, I just wanted to find out where our community garden is at, because I know we did receive funding last year, but we weren't able to complete the project.
Katie or Mark?
Yeah, I can speak to it quickly. The Plots, boxes, everything are there. Fencing is complete. The only thing left is basically getting the topsoil into the boxes. And I know Nevada, I think, had 6 or 8 or more people already booking plots. So I know there is some interest, and there is a person interested in being the caretaker for both gardens. So they're going to oversee everything. Some ideas for creating some events and different things as well. So I think a lot of good stuff moving forward. And I think Katie's working on a media release and that moving forward as well, that maybe she can touch on that quickly.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So just to add to that, we are going to be launching it on social this week. Next week, it will be on My FM on our radio spotlight for the LV spotlight. And I've organized a photo op with Mayor Bennett and the Observer to take a photo out at the plot. And we're hoping for that to be the front cover page for the following week, which would be on Earth Day. So we do have a big marketing campaign push for that. And so hopefully we'll get all the plots sold. But and planting is starting May 22nd. So we have lots of time to lead up to it.
That's good. And being outdoors is even better. Any other council comments? Seeing none. Dean?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Chris and Keith.
Moved by Councillor Close, second by Councillor Watt, that council committee meeting of April 6, 2021 be adjourned at 6:45.
All in favor? Carried. Well, again, everybody stay safe.
Good night, all.